Hey everyone, and thank you for clicking on this video. Before we dive into what might be the most unsettling experience of my entire life, I want you to do me a favor. Look around your room right now. Notice how everything feels solid, real. Notice how you can trust your memories. Trust what you see, and trust that tomorrow will come just like today did. Hold on to that feeling, because by the end of this story, you might start to question all of it. What I'm about to share isn't just a scary story. It's something that actually happened to me 3 months ago, and I still don't have all the answers. Some of you might think I'm making this up for views, and honestly, I wish I was, but every word is true, and I have the evidence to prove it. My name is Alex, and until recently, I was a night security guard at County General Hospital. The job was pretty straightforward. Walk the rounds, check the doors, make sure nobody gets in who shouldn't. The hospital is old, built back in the 1930s, and it has that atmosphere that only decades of human suffering can create. The walls just seem to absorb every tragedy. My shift was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. For the first few months, nothing unusual happened. Sure, there were creepy moments, shadows that seemed to move, strange sounds in empty corridors, but I chalked it all up to an overactive imagination. Hospitals are unsettling at night, especially old ones. But everything changed on October 15th. I remember the date because it was a week before my birthday. I checked in with Marcus, the evening guard, who seemed unusually anxious. He kept glancing over his shoulder and said something about the basement giving him the creeps. The morgue was down there, so it was always the worst part of my rounds. I didn't think much of it at the time. The first few hours passed normally. I did my rounds, watched the monitors. Around 2:30 in the morning, it was time for the basement. The basement of County General is a labyrinth of narrow hallways and old equipment. The lighting is terrible, and the morgue is at the far end, through a section that was being renovated. I took the old service elevator down, and when the doors opened, I was hit with that familiar smell of dampness and cleaner. But that night, the air felt heavier. As I walked through the dark construction area, I saw plastic sheeting fluttering, even though there was no breeze. The feeling that something was wrong became undeniable. When I finally reached the morgue, I found the door slightly ajar. That immediately set off alarm bells. The morgue is supposed to be locked at all times. I pulled out my radio to call it in, but then I heard something from inside. It sounded like papers rustling, then a drawer sliding open. Curiosity got the better of me. I pushed the door open, my flashlight beam sweeping across the room. The morgue was cold and sterile, just as you'd expect. But what caught my eye was the desk in the corner. Files and papers were scattered everywhere, like someone had been frantically searching for something. I moved closer, my heart pounding. They were patient records, autopsy reports, all pulled from different cabinets. This was definitely not normal. As I was about to radio it in, my flashlight beam passed over an open file on the desk, and I froze. The file tab had a name written on it in black marker. My name, Alex Morrison. My full legal name, spelled exactly right. For a moment, my brain just couldn't process what I was seeing. Why would there be a morgue file with my name on it? With shaking hands, I picked up the folder and opened it. Inside was a complete autopsy report, dated for October 22nd, exactly 1 week in the future. It was detailed, describing injuries from a fall from a significant height, multiple fractures, internal bleeding, severe head trauma. Cause of death was listed as accidental. I stood there in that freezing morgue, staring at the documentation of my own death, and felt reality itself begin to crack. This had to be a sick joke. But as I flipped through the pages, I saw things nobody could have faked. Timestamps, case numbers, even photographs. Though they were face down and I couldn't bring myself to look, my hands were trembling. I needed to get out of there. But as I turned to leave, I heard it. The heavy metallic click of one of the morgue compartments unlocking behind me, followed by the smooth glide of the drawer sliding out. You spoon around. Drawer number 7 was extending outward. There was a body on the drawer, covered with a white sheet. But what made me almost drop my flashlight was that the body appeared to be moving. Small movements, like someone breathing. I watched in horror as the sheet began to shift, as if whatever was underneath was trying to sit up. I didn't wait to see what happened next. Primera, dra, in. I ran through that basement faster than I've ever run in my life, my flashlight bouncing off the walls. I could hear something behind me, a sound like footsteps echoing my own, matching my pace. I didn't look back. I just ran until I reached the service elevator, frantically hitting the button. As the doors closed, I caught a glimpse of movement in the darkness. Maybe a figure in white. Back in the security office, I immediately called my supervisor, Janet. I tried to explain what I'd found, but it sounded insane even to my own ears. She arrived 30 minutes later, and we went back down to the basement together. The morgue door was closed and locked. When we opened it, everything was perfectly normal. The files were put away, nothing was on the desk, and all the drawers were closed. And most importantly, there was no file with my name on it. Janet checked everywhere. Nothing. She was kind, but I could tell she thought I'd had a nightmare or was just cracking under stress. I should have quit right then, but I needed the money, and part of me was desperate to prove I wasn't crazy. So, 3 nights later, I came back to work. For the next few nights, I avoided the basement, but on October 20th, 2 days before the date on that autopsy report, I knew I had to face it. I forced myself to go down there. The morgue door was locked. I took a deep breath, unlocked it, and stepped inside. The room was silent and empty. I checked every file cabinet, every drawer. Nothing. I was starting to feel foolish when I noticed something on the desk. A single piece of paper, face down, with a sense of dread. Primera picked it up. When I turned it over, my blood ran cold. It was one of the photographs from the autopsy report. A photo of a body on a morgue table. The angle didn't show the face clearly, but I recognized the watch on the wrist, because I was wearing it right then. The body in the photograph was mine. Written across the bottom in red ink were 3 words. October 22nd. Tomorrow. I dropped the photo like it had burned me. I grabbed it and ran to Janet's office. She examined it, her expression growing more concerned. She immediately called administration and the police. Wheaton and a war. The basement was swarming. They dusted for fingerprints, searched everywhere, and interviewed me. The photograph was real, not a fake. But here's where it gets even stranger. The police ran the image and case number through their systems. Nobody had any record of it. The photograph existed, but according to every official record, it had never been taken. The police took it seriously enough to assign an officer to watch me. They thought I was being stalked. October 22nd arrived. I called him sick, even though the report said the fall happened at the hospital. I wasn't taking any chances. My police escort, a detective named Richardson, suggested I stay at a single-story motel on the outskirts of town. He parked his car right outside my room. I didn't sleep. I just sat on the bed, watching the clock. The report listed my time of death as 11:47 p.m. As that time approached, every muscle in my body was tense. Richardson checked in every 15 minutes, assuring me that I was safe. And then, ... Midnight came and went. The night passed without incident. Primera hua ese life. But I still don't have the answers. What did I see in that morgue? Was it a warning, a threat from someone who never followed through? Or was it something else entirely? Something that bent the rules of time and reality? Just for a moment, I quit my job at the hospital. I couldn't go back there. I still have the photograph, locked away. It's the only proof that what happened wasn't just a nightmare. Sometimes I take it out and look at it, and I'm reminded that some things in this world just can't be explained. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I know it's a lot to take in. If you've ever experienced something you can't explain, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you want to see more content like this, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Stay safe out there.